All right, let's move on from Formula One. I mean, we've lingered here for really long, longer than I was expecting to. But let's move on to W Series. And the question is really obvious here, and it's been in the chat for a long while, especially when W Series announced that it won't be able to complete its season, and Jamie Chadwick would win the series for a third time. Um, anyway, but what is the future of W Series? Now, W Series was obviously supposed to come to Kota this next weekend, and for the penultimate round, and then go to Mexico GP thereafter for the finale. But that is not going to happen anymore. So, what do you think is the future of W Series?
I think they still, make the next season happen.
That is what
They
they
are
have said.
in.
They're really hopeful, and they'll come back next season. That has been the official statement coming out of the W Series camp.
Yeah, I mean, so I think the story behind this particular issue, like them running short of money, is that one of their sponsors fell short. One of their sponsors could not provide the backing, and essentially their money ran dry. So hopefully, next season the sponsorship remains intact. But also, W Series needs better financial planning and better planning as a whole, because now, they went across the world to, various flyover races, you know flyover races, and it definitely cost them a lot. And we so if you think about it logically, formula like W Series should have been gaining more momentum over the years and raising more money over the years, right? So they should have had more money this season, and they tried to go, all these overseas races. I think that was a mistake, maybe, maybe not, but yeah, I think better financial planning. You need to raise money, that's for sure, but you need to plan it better as well.
So,
Hopefully they come back next season. Hopefully they, you know, have a few flyover races in, let's say, Kota or Miami, and maybe somewhere in the Middle East, maybe. But don't go to Singapore, or don't go to so many places.
yeah, I mean, of the public, once it was announced and everybody came out and said basically what you just said, and that is, hey, W Series, um, do what you're doing, but make sure you're able to do it completely and as well as you can, instead of, adding too much of flair.
Yeah,
Let's put it that way, and that makes a lot of sense, obviously. But here's the thing: I went on the WC's website, and I looked at their mission statement, let's say, and it wasn't very specific. Most mission statements aren't, but it wasn't very specific. And it was a little bit of everything. It was a little bit of, like that driver development, creating the next generation of female superstars. It was also about inspiring people across the world, inspiring girls across the world to take up motorsport, and so on and so forth. So it's a little bit all over the place, and it really, I think, will boil down to what does W Series really want to accomplish. And
yeah,
the reason, before the podcast I brought up Iron Dames is, what has Iron Dames done? Iron Dames said, okay, we want to create an all-female racing team and go win. And that is exactly what they've done. They just won their first LMS race. They've had success in WEC, and they've done it beautifully well. That not only they've not just created buzz around themselves, and it's really hard to create buzz in sports car racing.
yeah,
And they've done it well, and they've done it for their drivers, and it's had a huge impact on the people, following sports car racing, and that is exactly what you want. um, and I wonder what are the different ways WC, right? Now, obviously, like you said, the best way is probably to concentrate in one region, have as many races as possible across your calendar year, but to really get in front of people's eyes, but maybe, lessen the scope of geographically lessen the scope to save money
yeah,
and provide
yeah,
the best value you can to the people watching you. I think there's a couple other ways. I think one is what Iron Dames did. Yes, W Series wants to be all over the place, but what is a better way to be all across the world? Exactly what Iron Dames did. What if W Series, instead of being a series, it was a huge organization with multiple teams. Could W Series potentially run in two, maybe three different series? Let's say
Yeah.
there's a W Series racing in USF 2000 Pro or whatever, in the US racing in the European ladder, and there's a W Series racing in another regional ladder, whether that is Super Formula ladder or whatever that is. Is that a better model to get people from everywhere possible? You're still across the globe, and to be in front of their eyes and to create success by partnering up with HWA except to win, just like how
Yeah.
Iron Dames have partnered up with Prema, and they have generated those results for themselves. Is that a better way to create the same impact that they're trying to create with the series? Except it's probably a lot more difficult to do that.
No, I think it's one of the better options because in that way you don't have uh, the separate.
You don't have to worry about broadcasting. You don't have to worry about marketing that much.
Yeah, exactly.
It
You don't have
you
all
just have
those
to worry.
logistical problems.
You have to just worry about generating those results that will get you that will get you on the news articles, that will get you in front of more eyes that much more often.
Yeah, the objective of W Series was to create a series for the female drivers where they can race properly and a financial burden.
Yeah, but we have also
So
come to learn the fact that it being a junior series, it will only ever be successful if drivers are able to move on.
yeah, exactly. So I was coming on to that. Now, if as you suggested, if they race in different series, firstly they are racing in series they are racing in series that are already successful, that already have millions of eyeballs on them, that already have stable revenues and stable everything in them. So that creates sustainability for the W Series entity per se. And if they do well, if they perform well, it is going to be a massive success. It's almost just like what Pareto Autosport is trying to do
Yeah,
in IndyCar, right? So they have a team they have tied up with Penske, right?
yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Yeah, and race Indy 500, and they are trying to race different like multiple races a season.
yeah, and yeah, it just makes more sense in my head that way. And a lot of people have also come out and said, oh, WC is not being able to get a Sky Sports deal is also a reason. No one's watching BT Sport to tune into W Series. It's away from where the main focus is, and so on and so forth. And that was my first point regarding W Series. Becoming more of a team that is operating across the globe, putting talent, and they could also have like a driver academy. They could have a driver
Yeah,
academy, but they're still doing the testing and whatnot with drivers that they're developing while generating money through those other racing series. But here's the second part of it. Now, yes, W Series wants female drivers to move up, right? To get into the upper echelons of motorsport. But I think just providing a financially free series or platform is not enough. That is step one. But I think the next step is to provide their drivers with opportunity become financially secure by themselves. I'm not sure what that looks like, but I would imagine some of the small things would be, getting them into um, like driver coaching jobs, or helping them partner with driving schools and generating revenue for driving schools and generating revenue for their own drivers that way, right? And showcasing them how they can use their talents and skills in different ways to generate that revenue for themselves, and to really train them in that, and push them beyond just racing, which only happens not here. So I think that
yeah,
is where also the responsibility of the W Series lies, where it is not just providing a financially free platform, but it is also helping these female drivers secure their financial future. Maybe helping them getting cameos in how forgetting her name, but the driver in Abby, the driver in Grand Tour. Um,
Yeah, Abby Eaton.
yeah, Abby Eaton. Like, something like that. Providing them different avenues to really get out there and be able to showcase. And I think being a team, they'll be able to do that, to mix and match, and so on and so forth. So on and so forth. Whereas, the restrictions that come along and the responsibilities that come with the racing series will probably take away from those from those responsibilities. It won't make it as important as it might be otherwise.
Very well that of course W series started, like the aims and everything were good. I mean, end of the day, I think W series should. I can't add anything to what you said, so I'm not going to add anything to what you said. Not going to add anything to what you said, right? Because that was brilliant. But I think at the end of the day, W series started off because they wanted to provide better racing to the better opportunities to the female drivers, and which in a way they have done with what they have right now, but they are not sustainable, which we I think it boils down to that, because if it's not sustainable, then there's no point in that. And
And like,
I think, yeah,
just to add to that, I mean, all of these are drivers, and drivers are usually really great advisors, or they can usually work well with the team. So getting them in those reserve driver roles really like work well with the team. So getting them in those reserve driver roles really like being helping them to get into places where not only are they financially secure but also successful as a racing driver in some measure. Like, you talk about Antonio Giovinazzi. Yes, he may not be in the spotlight, he may not be the top driver, but he's successful in his own way. Like, he's a very and he did something to get to that place, right? So
yep,
it isn't just about being at the helm of motorsport racing, but there's a lot of different ways, and I think that is what Iron Dames, even Iron Dames, and especially W Series people running that series need to branch out to and really